Okay, so let's talk through this example we have here. A Harris poll found that 46% of Americans say they suffer from great stress at least once a week. So this means that the probability of having stress is 0.46. 3 people are selected at random. Find the probability that all 3 will suffer from great stress at least once a week. So basically we want to find the probability that the first person suffers from stress and the second person suffers from stress and that the third person suffers from stress. Okay? Now, we've already talked about the multiplication rule at this point. So you know when you're trying to find probability of something and another thing and, well, so far we've only talked about it with 2. So we've talked about the probability of A and B, right? And so now what's different is that we have three people instead of just 2, right? So we need to extend the multiplication rule to being more than just 2. So I'm going to go ahead and write A, B, and C. Okay. And it turns out that the multiplication rule, it extends very easily to more than just 2 events, right? So remember the multiplication rule, if it was just A and B, you would write this as the probability of A times the probability of B given A, right? So now if we have C, now just do the times that by probability of C given A and B. So that's in general for 3 events. This is in general. But if A, B, and C are independent, right? A, B, and C are independent, okay, then the probability of B given A, well, it doesn't matter that you gave me A, because if they're independent, right, then this would just be equal to the probability of A times the probability of B times the probability of C, of A and B and C. All right, so this is our multiplication rule when you have 3 events. Now, you can easily extend this to 4, 5, 6 more events, right? Okay, so now what's going on here? We have 3 events. First person stressed, second person stressed, and the third person stressed. Now, is there independence? Yes, right? These people are selected at random. So the first person doesn't necessarily know the second person, right? They are not related to each other. The probability of the second person being stressed, given that the first person is stressed, well, the second person doesn't care that the first person is stressed. They're stressed on their own, right? So these are independent events. So this is going to be equal to the probability of the first person being stressed times the probability of the second person being stressed, right, times the probability of the third person being stressed. Okay, so we have independence here. We're using the probability of A times probability of B times probability of C. Okay, now each of these things are both 0.46. So we're going to take 0.46 times 0.46 times 0.46. Okay, and that comes to 0.097.